And hello. Welcome to Jim's in Town Gardening and Bella's Legacy Rabbitry. Not used to fading that way. I hope everybody's had a blessed day today. And I want to welcome everybody for part 3 of Owning a Rabbit or Rabbits. And what we're going to look at today is feed and water, and some of the containers that we use, some of the containers that you can use. So, and I hope everybody's enjoying this series. Now, I had mentioned in one of the videos about some software that I found, and I'm very excited to start using this program. I've been using it now for about a week, getting to understand it a little bit. The owner of this company comes back to the country. I'm not sure if he's on vacation, business trip, doesn't make any difference, but he comes back tomorrow. So in the next few days, I'm hoping to talk to him and I will purchase this. And there's some things I want to ask him about that might help all of you who raise rabbits, who raise sheep, goats, birds, and I'm sure you could use it for even cows, pigs. So we'll see what happens there. So feed for rabbits, feed for almost any animal is very important, and the right balance of things. Now, I personally use the Blue Seal. I use the Pro Hutch and the Top Hutch, and I get the two mixed up. 16% is for just general rabbits. Now they do make a 17%. I believe it's called the Show Hutch. On the 18%, I feed that would be the protein that I use for my moms. Now, usually what I'll do is when I breed that girl, usually about a week, most times it's about a week before I breed her, I start transitioning her over. And how I transition is I would give her my New Zealand's, my Rexes, and my crosses. Normally I figure on a cup of grain a day. So let's say baby. I'm going to breed baby, let's say a week from today. So I would start transitioning her over half a cup of 16 to a half a cup of 18%. She'd get that every single morning. I feed a cup of, my grain is always fed in the morning. I would start transitioning her a week prior. So then the day that I breed her, now she's on full 18%, a cup of 18%. And a lot of that depends on her weight too. If I've got a girl who is a little bit on the heavy side, that would be Lily. Probably about a month prior, I would have already been cutting her feed back, getting her more towards the proper weight. And when I'm out in the barn someday and I'm doing this series, the updates for this series, I will show how I show rabbit, or how I can tell if a rabbit is where it needs to be, or underweight or overweight. There was a young lady that I sold 3 rabbits to just recently, and one of the boys that I sold was on the heavy side. So I gave her an example of overweight, and she had said, "Yeah, that's my bunnies." And that's something you don't want to do. Number one, if you're breeding, especially like me, I sell pet rabbits. I sell um, rabbits for breeders, and I try to keep a consistent weight. Well, this boy was a pig. I mean, he loved to eat. Just loved to eat. He lived for eating, and especially when I started giving him the apple treats. Oh my goodness, did he love them? And I'll get into treats later. Um, but anyways, depending on the weight, I will start about a month ahead of time and trying to get that doe, that buck, down to about where they need to eat. Now, there is a young lady whose channel I don't follow it as much because I don't have time. Um, and I wish I had the name, the channel. Um, I know Nikki's her first name. Something Homestead. It will come to me. Anyway, she did a whole video on that, the weight. Um, when you're breeding for rabbits to sell, you want larger larger litters. I want 8 or above. Um, and my litter sizes have been down, and I think a lot of that is because I'm not breeding them anywhere near as often as I should. Um, because of situations, I've only been breeding my does about once a year, and it's not enough. And I think that's a lot of the reason why I'm down to 6 and 7 and 8 babies per litter. Because these girls are still young enough, the boys are still young enough. I should be getting the 9, 10, 11. But anyways, that's for another video. Um, so anyways, if I've got a doe who is still a little bit overweight during the breeding season, when I breed her, I will still continue to cut her back about a half a cup. And I do give her hay. I know in Nikki's video, she didn't give hay. Um, I do feed hay, and we'll get into that in just a moment because a lot of people don't feed hay. Um, anyways, now my boys, I keep on just a constant 16. Um, one boy in particular, and that would be Rusty. He's a red New Zealand. Um, there's times I will add a little bit of 18% to his grain. Um, he's a strange boy. I love that boy, but boy, he's a strange boy. Um, and I'll save that for another video. We'll talk about individual rabbits in another video. So, feeders. What do I use, Jim, to feed my rabbits? What do you use? Okay, now one thing I do want to make sure that everybody understands is I'm sharing the things that work for me. Now there will be a few things as we go through this series that I'll let you know. I don't think it's a good idea. I absolutely will not do it, but that's me. That's me. Raising rabbits in a colony, that is one thing I absolutely will not do. But there's people that do it and they get along while doing that. So like I said, this is me. I'm sharing what works for me. I'm not an expert. It's just somebody who loves rabbits. I love raising rabbits. I like working with rabbits. And I like sharing the things that work for me with other individuals so that they have a good start. So, feeders, and excuse me, this isn't cleaned up the way that it normally is. This is an extra. So this is what they call a J feeder. J feeder, it's kind of shaped like a J. And what you do is you dump your grain in the top and it comes out the bottom. Now there's a screen. Some of them have screens, some of them don't. Some of them only have a part of a screen. This one has a screen quite a ways up. And what that does is it lets the dust filter out. That is what the majority of my cages have. And I have different sizes. This is about the smallest that I would use. Now, on my 30 by 36 cages, most of those cages are set for a longer one. Now, I don't know if it's 12 inches or if it's a little bit bigger than 12. But I use the bigger ones there because oftentimes you've got mom in there, you've got babies growing up. And once they get to that size where they can reach it, you can have numerous babies feeding on it at all times. Now, here's another one for somebody who has a pet rabbit. These here make a good little feed dish. What you would do is you'd put your grain in here, And then this is for your hay. You can put your hay in there. The bunnies pull it out. Now you're going to have some rabbits that are going to they're going to take that out. As soon as you put your hay in, you put this in because it'll be laying on the bottom of the floor. Some rabbits just do not want that screen in there. Learn your bunny. Now, many people who have come to visit our rabbitry, many people on the videos, they love these hay feeders. Now, the only place that I can find these is PetSmart, and in the last couple months, I don't even see them online, so I don't know if they discontinued. You can find a smaller version of this, which would probably work for a guinea pig or something like that, a little bit smaller that doesn't need as much. But what I love about this is here's your bigger opening here, and you put your hay in there. Of course, it comes out, and the rabbits will eat around the side. There's times they'll bat this thing around. There's times Gizmo, Leanna's favorite bunny out there, back when he was younger, he used to do laps running around his hay ball. So anyways, that shows you what that is. There's other ways that you can do your hay for those that feed hay. They make something that looks similar to this, except it's open here, and you've got these little spring things, they clip onto your cage. You put your hay in here, and the rabbits can eat it through the cage. So that's an idea too. They also make little bowls that you can use for hay. You can use it for water. For anybody that's going to breed their doe, and you're going to have babies in there. And again, this is me. I would not have one of those bowls that sit on the floor for your baby bunnies. If I'm going to have a water bowl, what I would use is one that clips. And I wish I had another waterer. It would show exactly what I want to do. But it goes against the inside of the cage, and then there's a piece that goes on the outside of the cage to hold it in the wire, and then there's a wing nut, and you tighten that wing nut up, and that's what I would do for a mother who is getting ready to have birth. And I say that because until the rabbits get up there to about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if they happen to get out there and got into that water bottle, I don't know if they'd be strong enough to pull themselves out. And especially if you're in, anytime, you take the chance of drowning. But if it got back out in the wintertime, cool weather, now you've got a wet baby, and I don't know how long it could survive if the air temperature in that barn was only 40 degrees, 45 degrees or cooler. Probably you're going to end up with a bunny that's going to get hypothermia. So, like I said, for mamas who have young babies, bring that water bottle up, and then as the young ones come out of the nest box, or whatever you're using for your rabbits for nesting, then you could bring it down to the floor so that they could drink too, because I want to get my babies drinking as soon as they will on their own, because oftentimes, we'll get into that in another video. All right, water bottles. All right, so I talked about bowls. You can buy water bowls. Walmart has them, feed stores have them, Tractor Supply, Amazon. You can find water bowls all over the place. This is my go-to waterer. This is a 16-ounce waterer. Today is water bottle clean day. Normally it's Monday, but because of New Year's, because of everything that's been going on, today's the day. So What happens here is you get this bottle and you've got this. Now inside there's a rubber washer. Um, so I have bottle brushes. I clean the inside out once a week. That's what my goal is once a week. The rubber washer comes out. That's washed, and then I have a brush that goes inside the stem, um, and you can get those. Those are cheap. Um, the other one is this one here. Now this is a 32 ounce, and I use this for moms um, with babies, and the babies until they either sell or holds quite a bit of water. So I do like this again. Make sure that you keep things clean once a week. That little washer will come out. That's cleaned. The washer's cleaned. Or that's more of a plastic, rubbery plastic type material. It doesn't take long when you've got sun coming in for the algae to start, and I don't want the rabbits drinking that kind of stuff. Now, let's get into I feed hay. And there's a few reasons why I do feed hay. I know there's some rabbit owners who don't feed hay and they're against feeding hay, and that's fine. Whatever works for them. I'm not going to slam another rabbit owner because they do something different. I mean, we all have. I'm sharing what works for me. Now, why do I feed hay? I want to feed the very best hay that I can. I feed Timothy. Actually, it's Timothy. It's got orchard grass. It's got some other grasses in. It's from the farm that I buy hay from, and normally it's very, very good quality. Now, I feed it for several reasons. Number one, there's nutrients that they get out of that. The roughage. Um, Anybody who has a group of rabbits, you know that they go through a shedding period, and that hair is all over. I don't care how hard you try to keep things clean. You can clean those cages every single day, and you're going to have hair that's going to be flying around. It's what rabbits do. And this year, in the late spring, my rabbits went through a very, very heavy shed, and it was almost everyone. Um, so I did a lot of grooming. My bunnies would go outside as long as it wasn't really hot. And I've got a card. I'll go through all my grooming tools in another video. Um, and I would card them. And I mean, it just pulls that fur off. Um, and I have different ones who use that fur. I'll separate it. Like all the whites will go in one bag. My chocolates will go in another. The lavenders, lilacs, whatever you want to call them, they'll go in another bag. My reds will go in a different bag. And oftentimes these young ones use them for craft projects. So, you know what? If I can help a child out or many children out, hey, so be it. I'm glad to help. And I'll vacuum my rabbits, and I think I shared that in a video. I can go through with a vacuum, and I can vacuum all around the outside. I can go on top of the cages. Some of the cages I can go inside with I forgot what they call it, the one that you'd use for crevices. And I can slowly work around in there. My rabbits know me. They know I'm not going to hurt them. There are some that I won't do that with. They just get too freaked out. So what I'll do is that's when I've got a bunny running around the floor, and it allows me to vacuum the inside of that cage out. Just giving you a few little hints. So, anyways, getting back to the hay, nutrients, roughage, and why I was sharing the whole thing with the hair. I have had 2 does that have gotten plugged up because of hair. I believe it was hair plugged up. What do you mean? Well, I noticed the girl hadn't. Melania was one I really had to worry about with that. Melania was one. she had bigger marbles poop. And there was one morning I noticed she hadn't drank. She didn't eat a whole lot of her grain. And I was like, whoa, this isn't, I know how much my rabbits normally drink, how much they normally eat. And I noticed this when I'm going through and I'm dropping those 6 sunflower seeds. I'll get to that in a minute. Anyways, I noticed she hadn't drank much because that's when I kind of do an overall check on everybody. How we looking? How'd you drink? Um, Anything that looks off. When I'm doing those sunflower seeds, that's what I'm looking for. So, anyways, I noticed that she hadn't drank hardly anything, and that's unusual for her. She was a water drinker. Um, so I finished up and I went through and I did the grain. She hadn't eaten much grain that night. So I called all over for vets, and nobody would look at her, and that's typical up here in Maine. And if somebody is going to look at a rabbit, it's going to be expensive. You're not going to come out of there the majority of the time for less than $200. That's the initial cost, and then whatever. So what we figured is she got a hold of a bunch of hair. So again, I was desperate to find out what to do for this girl. Some had said, feed him oats. Um, Others had said, and I'll share this. This is something. If you've got a rabbit who has not drank and she hasn't drank, get yourself and keep a bottle on hand of unflavored Pedialyte. And keep that on your shelf. If you got a pantry, keep it on your pantry. And the other thing is the mixed vegetable baby food. Um, so what I did is I took a bigger syringe. I don't have any of them right here, but I don't remember how many cc's. It's a good size syringe. And of course, you got that little plastic nipple that your needle would go on. Well, I filled it up with a Pedialyte. I had her um, like I would if I was going to be trimming her nails, head up against my biceps and my side. Um, and I held that syringe up there by her mouth, and boy, I'll tell you what, she grabbed right a hold of that, and I gently, well, I got 3 or 4 of those into her, and it's like, yeah, this is good. So then I had the mixed vegetable oil, vegetable food, baby food, and I drew that up in the syringe and did that. And she spit it out at first, and then she started licking it. And you got to remember, she's a sick girl. She hadn't drank, she hadn't eaten. Um, got the syringe back in her mouth, and she was taking all of that. So I think I got a couple of those in and gave her some more of the Pedialyte. And that very next day, she didn't eat anything. Still that day, the next day, I had her out on the floor. Remember, 20 feet, and she hopped down to the very bottom, and she was smelling one of the boys that was down in the on one of the bottom cages. And I happened to be talking to my wife. She was coming back from Bangor, and told her what I was doing, and I said, "Oh my goodness, what is that?" Well, she let loose a marble. Well, it wasn't a marble; it was a blob about that big around. It's a wonder it didn't tear her apart. Um, and then I was nervous about having diarrhea. Um, but you know what? Within a few hours, she was fine. She was spitting out marbles again like she should, and her eating and drinking went back to what it normally, all takes getting to know your rabbits. And these are some of the things that you want to look for. What is different with that animal? Every morning when you go out, every night when you go out, same with goats or sheep or chickens. Look for those telltale signs that something's not right. With rabbits, you don't have a lot of time. If I had waited till evening before I did something, I probably would have lost that rabbit. So um, time is very, very important. So, and I think that's as far as we're going to go with this video. I am trying to keep these in segments that would help somebody. Um, and the thing I would ask is, please, in these videos, if I'm talking about something and you think maybe I could have gone a little bit further on, or maybe I didn't explain it in a way that you understood, ask that question. And because I'm so busy, and because I have a ministry, and because I've got 2 channels that I work with, and I try to keep up with the comments. Just be patient with me. Now, you run into an issue where it's a must. I've got a sick rabbit, or um, I have a lot of people that call me, a lot of people that text me. Um, there's ways that you can find my number here on YouTube, or even my email. Get a hold of me, and I'll try to help you. And if I can't help you, if I don't have the answer, I will try to find somebody who does. I know many rabbit owners. Some are big rabbit owners. So, don't think you're out there alone. So, friends, thanks so much for spending a little bit of time. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for tomorrow's video. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. I am going to try to get something up there for you. I want to do this every single day. I know we got a lot going on. So, thank you so much. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to us, hit that bell, do what you got to do there. A lot going on this channel, and a lot more will happen as we keep going. Don't forget to like, and I want to hear your comments. It will help me if I know what you're looking for, or things that you don't want. And I know some might say, well, we don't want the daily devotions. I'm sorry, but that's going to keep going. Just don't watch them. If that's not your cup of tea, just don't watch them. There are people who do enjoy them. So, friends, I love you all. You have a great day.